Hey, Sam here from Spun, and today I'll be showing you how to make mashed potato pancakes. All right, I wanted to share this recipe right after Thanksgiving because I know a lot of us have leftover mashed potatoes, one of my personal favorite things, but here's a way to enjoy them that doesn't involve just, reheating them and putting gravy on top. My dad used to make these after the holidays with our leftover mashed potatoes. I always loved it, so I just wanted to share my own recipe. Of course, you can make these any time of year, but it's great when you have leftovers. So the first thing that you need is obviously leftover mashed potatoes. They should be cold, and you're going to need 2 cups of them. Now I like to add some cheese. I am using 3/4 cup of shredded cheddar cheese. Add that to the bowl. You could try a different cheese if you prefer, like Colby Jack would work really well too. It's my son's favorite cheese. So assuming you have a basic mashed potato recipe that you are using, I like to add a little bit of spice that's not always in your Thanksgiving mashed potatoes. You can alter this depending on how flavorful your existing mashed potatoes are. You can add some or none of these spices. I like to add a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder, 1/4 teaspoon of ground black pepper, bonus points if it's freshly cracked, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. These are all sticking for me. All right, the next thing you're going to need is some flour. Sometimes you can get away without adding any flour to this recipe, but that's risky. What can happen is they can just fall apart, they can be really difficult to work with, they can make a huge mess in your frying pan, so I always end up adding at least a tablespoon of flour, and for this recipe I actually recommend you add 2 tablespoons, which I'm going to be using today. 2 tablespoons is a very safe amount. I find if you end up having to add more, the pancakes can get a little bit bland, and if that happens, you might want to add a little bit more spice as well. So I'm going to stir this together, and if you find your potato pancakes are not holding when we get to that step, you can always add a little bit more flour as needed. The mashed potatoes being cold really do help with this step. Now I'm just stirring until everything is mostly combined. All right, now another ingredient that I like to add to my recipe is an egg. My dad did not always use an egg, sometimes he didn't, but I have found I really like it. It adds as a nice binder to hold the potatoes and the other ingredients together, and I just think it makes for a better potato pancake. So I do add one, and it is what I recommend. So you wanna give this a nice whisk before you add it to your potatoes. That way it is easier to combine everything. All right, let's stir this together. You can use your hands for this too. A lot of times I do. Yeah, adding that egg really does help the pancakes hold their shape better, fries them better. It works nicely for me. I feel like you either grew up making these and don't need a recipe for them and have your own way of doing it, or you've never done it before, and in which case I hope this is a really nice guideline for you, a helpful guideline. This is just how I do it. All right, we're going to scoop these, but first we're going to prepare a place for them to land. So I recommend grabbing a baking sheet, lining it with parchment paper just to make cleanup a little bit easier, and we're going to dust this with some flour, additional flour. Then we're going to scoop these by 1/4 cup. I like to use this scoop. I never remember what number it is. I will try to remember to link to it in the description. Look it up later. We are not baking these, we're going to be frying them. This is just a place to help form them. Right now they have the same shape as my crab cakes. You should get 8 of these, which we did. Now I'm going to dust the tops with a little bit of flour, and we're going to flatten these. So one thing I like to do is I want to make sure that these are manageable. So I want to make sure I can pick them up, because that's the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to need to move them to fry them. And I'll be using a spatula, but I want to make sure they are, let me flatten all of them first. I want to make sure that they are, transferable. So I can pick this up, we'll be able to fry it, no problem. Now, normally I will have my oil heating up while I am preparing the potato pancakes. I'm about to heat that up now, so I'm going to pop these in the fridge while I heat up the oil, just because I don't want them to get too warm. So let me grab my skillet and we'll get started cooking. All right, over here on the stovetop, you're going to need a frying pan or a skillet. I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons of oil to this. You'll want to use a neutral cooking oil. I'm using avocado oil. So I've got 2 tablespoons here. Now the important thing is that we have a nice layer of oil on the bottom of the pan. You don't want just like a really thin sheen, because if you do not have enough oil, what's going to happen is the pancakes are going to stick, they're going to fall apart, you won't be able to remove them, and it's just going to be a sad day. And I am going to turn my stovetop on to medium-high heat, and I'm going to cook this until the oil is nice and shimmering. And then I'm going to go grab my potatoes out of the fridge. And another thing I want to note is you need a place to put your pancakes after they are done cooking. So I just have a paper towel lined plate right here. This is where they're going to go. You do not want to cook too many pancakes at one time. It's funny calling them pancakes because they're not real pancakes. So in this pan, I think I have room to do like 2 or 3 at a time. Don't want to overcrowd them. All right, this oil is nice and hot. Let's add our first pancake. Like I said, I think I could do 3 in here without things getting too crazy. Flatten this one a little on that side. Now, how long it takes for these to cook all the way through is going to depend on, like, you know, exactly how hot your oil is, how much oil you used, a lot of different variables. You're going to check it after like a minute or 2. You want it to be a nice deep golden brown color, and then you can flip it over. Now, if you're worried about them not being cooked all the way through, you can use an instant read thermometer, like a meat thermometer, and just check that the center has exceeded 165 degrees. All right, let me go ahead and take a look at this one. Not quite as brown as I want it to be. I think I said a deep golden brown. They don't need to be a deep golden brown, but there should be golden browning happening. All right, let's flip one and see how we're looking. Oh, don't make my mistakes. Fix that. Confident in your flip. There's a lot of oil, so be careful you don't splash yourself. Now, I really do like using a cast iron for this because a cast iron heats so thoroughly and evenly. I like using my 10-inch cast iron. 2 tablespoons of oil does the trick perfectly. So if you have those tools at home, I would definitely use them here. All right, these should be done. We'll move them to our paper towel lined plate. Now, if your pan gets really messy, you can always wipe it out with a paper towel. You will probably, my pan's getting a little too hot, you'll probably need to add a little more oil in between batches. It looks a little bit like English muffins. Go ahead and flip these. I'm so excited to try these. So cook through, turn this off. It's hot. All right, of course you're going to want to serve these while they are still warm. I'm gonna move them to a different plate here. And these are good, plain. You can eat them that way if you want. But what I like to do, what my family likes to do, is we'll top them with a little bit of sour cream and chives or scallions or green onions. Taste amazing with it. That is how you make potato pancakes, mashed potato pancakes using leftover mashed potatoes. If you try this, I would love to know what you think. I really do always love hearing from you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is my favorite part. Make sure you can see inside. It's like mashed potatoes. It's even better than mashed potatoes. I think you're gonna like this one. I ate my hair. Don't splash yourself like I just did. Saucy, you're driving me nuts. I'm not letting you out.